Hi everyone, what is this? This is a lemon. And how does it taste? Too sour. What is this? This is a soap. And how does it feel? Quite soapy. But do you know how do these substances get their nature? I mean, what makes this lemon too sour and what makes this soap too soapy? Hello everyone, my name is Diksha and in this video I'll be talking about acids, bases and salts. This is an orange. We know that it tastes sour. Similarly, if I talk about this tomato, I know this also tastes somewhat sour. Moving forward to this lemon, this also feels sour. And what about this vinegar? A bit too sour again. Okay. Now, this detergent, this is soapy when I touch it. Moving forward to this soap, this is also soapy in texture, right? And what about this toothpaste? It also produces a soap kind of texture. Now, what is this? This is a sugar and it does not belong to either sour taste or soapy taste. It has some different sort of properties and it is neutral in nature. Now the question here again arises. What makes these substances either sour or soapy? What's the main reason behind it? So the substances which has acid in it taste sour. But whereas when I talk about the substances which feel soapy contains base. What do we mean by acids and base? Now, let us just look into it, each one into detail. First, acid. What are the characteristics of an acid? An acid is a chemical substance that has a sour taste. Many food items such as lemons, curd, vinegar and orange taste sour because of the presence of acid in them. Now, do you know there are many of the acids which are found in our daily household items? Okay, first one is acetic acid. Very well known acid and it is present in vinegar. Moving forward to formic acid, it is present in the ant's sting. Then citric acid, it is present in oranges, lemons. All the citrus fruits contains the citric acid. Lactic acid present in curd, oxalic acid present in spinach, ascorbic acid in amla and various other citrus fruits as well, tartaric acid in tamarind, grapes, unripe mangoes, etc. Now, there are two main categories of an acid. First one is natural acid and second is mineral acid. What do you mean by natural acid? Natural acids are also known as organic acids. These are the acids that occur in nature. That means we derive it exactly from plants and animals, deriving it from nature. Generally, they are weak acids. For example, tannic acid is found in tea leaves and formic acid in ant sting. Mineral acid, second type of acid. This mineral acid is also known as inorganic acids and these are comparatively strong in nature. Now, what are the examples of mineral acids or inorganic acids? These are sulfuric acids and hydrochloric acids. Okay, you must have often heard that acids cannot be stored in containers which are made up of aluminium and iron. Now, what is the reason behind it? Acids can corrode metals like aluminium and iron due to their corrosive nature. That means it can get reacted and ultimately the container gets corroded. That is why acids are stored in glass bottle containers and not in metal containers. Moving forward to substances which are soapy in nature. Now, these contains bases, also known as alkaline. What are the characteristics of a base? A base is bitter to taste, soapy to touch. Bases are found in different substances such as bleach, ammonia, washing powders, soaps and etc. Now, different types of bases found in sodium hydroxide is basically found in soaps, calcium hydroxide in lime water, Now, what is the chemical formula for calcium hydroxide? CaOH whole twice. Ammonium hydroxide, it is present in window cleaner, and magnesium hydroxide, a very well-known base which we use. You must have heard about indigestion, right? And magnesium hydroxide, also known as milk of magnesia or an antacid, it helps us to relieve indigestion. Similarly, we have two different types of bases. First one is strong base and second is weak base. Strong base, some of the bases are corrosive in nature and many result in skin burns. Such bases are strong bases, for example, sodium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide. Weak bases, some of the bases are not corrosive in nature. Such bases are called weak bases. For example, magnesium hydroxide, ammonium hydroxide, copper hydroxide, etc. Now, let us see the differences between acids and bases, and we'll also look into the similarities between the two. Acids. Acids has sour taste. Generally, acids are soluble in water. But when I talk about bases, bases have a bitter taste and bit soapy to touch. Some of the bases are soluble in water. They are called alkalis. For example, potassium hydroxide and sodium hydroxide. Now, what's the similarity between the two? React with each other to form salt and water. We will look into this concept in the next upcoming slides. Solution of acid and base dissolved in water conduct electricity, and both of these are corrosive in nature. But why is an acid known as an acid and a base known as a base? What's the reason behind it? From the beginning right to this slide, we were talking about what is an acid, what is an base. We talked about the characteristics of each of the following. But what makes an acid and base a base? Now, if I talk about acids, acids have a property of producing H positive ion, that means hydronium ion. Now, and also if I talk about base, it contains hydroxyl ions. Hydrogen ions contains both positive charge and negative charge, but in case of acids, we consider them mostly as H positive ions. But when I talk about bases, bases usually contain a negative charge on them, right? Now, if I talk about this pH scale, can you see this? What do you mean by pH scale? It's basically the measure of H positive ions or OH negative ions produced in a solution, produced by a particular substance. Can you see this 7 point? This 7 point indicates it is a neutral solution. Now the pH scale ranges from 0 to 14. In this 7 point shows the neutral nature of any particular substance. All the substances having pH lesser than 7 are known as acids. The lesser the value of the pH, the more corrosive is the acid. And when I talk about bases, the value ranging from 7 to 14 corresponds to bases. The more the value of pH, the more basic is the substance. Coming over to neutral substance. Now, what is a neutral substance? Like I have also told you about sugar. It was a neutral substance. Neutral substance is a substance which is neither acidic nor basic in nature. If I give you a few examples for it, so first example is our distilled water. Distilled water is free of any type of impurities, and also it does not conduct electricity due to this reason only. Moreover, if I talk about this sugar or sugar solution, it also does not conduct electricity and it does not have any positive or a negative charge, right? Now, neutralization. What is neutralization? Imagine if I mix an acid and a base. What could be the probable reaction be? Okay, now here I am taking a hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide. Hydrochloric acid is HCl and sodium hydroxide is NaOH. When I react this acid with this base, the former, now here from the acid you can see that as HCl is hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide is NaOH. So in NaOH, Na has a positive charge. It is a cation. But whereas I talk about hydrochloric acid, Cl contains a negative charge which makes it an anion. Now this cation and anion will pair together and will form a salt, and which will be NaCl. And what will be the remnants behind? H from HCl, which has a positive charge, whereas when I talk about sodium hydroxide, it is OH, which has a negative charge. Now this cation and anion again pair together and will form water molecule, right? So what do we get in a neutralization? It's basically when an acid solution is mixed with a basic solution, both the solutions neutralize the effect of each other. Thus, the reaction between acid and base is a neutralization reaction. Salt and water are produced in this process with the evolution of heat. That's all for today. I hope you guys understood what I tried explaining. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.